Alright guys, so just got finished filming episode 2 of season 2, but the first part of the Perfect MS3 series. And I decided I'm going to actually title this project Project Karma. It's the basic idea that you will get out what you put in. Okay, so the lesson here is that the more research you do, the more people that you talk to, the more that you get to learn your car, the more you get used to the car, both natural and forced learning, the better you can actually modify the car. And I briefly touched on this in other places, but this is going to be getting down to some of the really nitty gritty things that are essential as you're modifying this car. So just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an intro into the video. I hope you guys enjoy this. I enjoyed making it. Thanks for coming back and hanging out with me, and enjoy the video. First of all, I want to start off by saying excuse the mess in the back. I had a 72 by 36 inch glass whiteboard put in my office today, and the packing material on that thing was crazy. So utilizing the MS3 for some transporting today of garbage. So please excuse that. But I wanted to go ahead and film the video for this week. So the first thing we're going to talk about as far as building the perfect MS3 is torque steer. Now, this is a topic that has plagued all front wheel drive cars and drivers since the beginning of front wheel drive cars and drivers. Now, some of this is going to seem redundant if you've done any research at all on what causes this and things like that. But remember, I like talking to the masses. So worst case scenario, you're a little bit more informed than what you were before. So let's just get into it. So torque steer. Torque steer is the tendency for your car to change directions without you moving the steering wheel while under heavy acceleration or deceleration. Okay. Now, this is prevalent in front wheel drive cars for a couple of reasons. Number one, you are putting power to the same part of the car that handles steering. And since torque is naturally measured in rotations, right? Like pound per feet. So it's measuring the rotation and it causes rotation. When you're putting power to something that's already rotating from, steering, it's going to make the car go a different direction. Okay. That's why in rear wheel drive cars, the steering happens in the back, the motor's in the front. So you're not going to have torque steer, or I guess some people have a rear wheel drive cars I never heard of before today when I was doing some final research. But it's very rare in rear wheel drive cars. I've never seen it, but apparently, according to the internet, we know how credible that is, it happens. So all in all, we're putting power straight to the same place the car that handles steering. Okay. Now, it's really bad in MS3s for one simple reason. That motor produces a ton of torque from the factory. Now, torque and horsepower tend to have a direct relationship. So as you increase one, the other one just naturally increases. You can limit this to some standpoint, but to hold torque at one point and to just increase horsepower is not a realistic solution. So with that said, as we're building the perfect MS3, there's going to be an increase in horsepower, and inevitably there will be an increase in the already high amount of torque that this motor produces. So nothing you can do about the science of it. The science of it says torque steer is inevitable. However, there are two things that you can do to help maybe have a little bit less torque steer. Obvious one is a limited slip differential. Now, there is some debate on this, but we've seen some people that have been inside the transmission of this car, and it doesn't appear that our cars have limited slip differentials. All I can go off is what it looks like, and it's, I mean, you can look right through the middle of that thing. There's no way in any logical sense that is a limited slip differential. I think it's an open differential. So based on that, purchasing a limited slip differential would help. Okay, and if you go on Edge Auto Sports, I'll put a link at the bottom of the page for all the parts that I recommend throughout this. They sell a limited slip differential for this car. All right, so that's the best thing. Limited slip differential is what will help as far as keeping the wheels stable when there's traction, heavy torque, and things like that. Okay, so that's number one. Pretty straightforward. Now, the next thing is, I should say, our mounts. Okay, and I'm talking rear motor mount, passenger motor mount, and transmission mount. Okay, now, why wouldn't Mazda just do this out of the factory? Why give us mounts that make an already bad situation worse? Here's why. So the factory mounts are essentially just rubber. Okay, now under high amount of torque, which it happens as a result of heavy acceleration and things like that, when the motor is under that kind of power, it's gonna shift and move around a lot. Okay, and you can even see it in some of my old videos, which I've referenced before, when I'm on the dyno, where you literally see the motor just shake back and forth before I got the passenger mount. Okay, now because that happens, because there's so much movement on top of where all of the steering happens, that's just going to make that bad situation already worse, because now you got components moving, which causes instability in the car. Okay, now the reason why Mazda uses rubber is something called NVH, noise, vibration, and harshness. Okay, now I use Corksport mounts all the way around. No, I apologize. I've got a Cobb rear motor mount. I apologize. But I have a Corksport passenger and transmission mount. Because you're basically bolting those moving parts to more towards the body of the car, that vibration's got to go somewhere. So because the mounts are putting the motor more on the car and the transmission directly to the vehicle, the interior of the cabin is going to feel all that vibration. And I can tell you one thing. Most people from the factory are expecting the ride to be comfortable, as far as not to be too loud, things of that nature. That's the same reason why they put resonators on exhaust. It's the same idea. It's about the comfort level and the noise level that's happening within the vehicle. You will see a noticeable difference of noise, vibration, and harshness when you fix this. However, because the parts are not moving as much, you will not have as much torque steer. Now, I have to say this again. You will not fix this problem. You will make it less of an issue, but there is no fixing the science of torque steer. Now, as far as other recommendations, make sure that you're checking tire pressure, because there's more weight on the front of the car. That will tend for the tire, or if you just drive on bad roads a lot, like I know a lot of people up north and things like that will tend to drive on bad roads. If you got uneven wear on the tires, that also will obviously cause, under high acceleration, the car to steer weird. But don't mistake torque steer for an alignment problem. Those are two very, very different things. Okay, what your car will do just in a standard, not under super high acceleration, forward motion, that's alignment. Torque steer is you're punching it and it rips out of your hand. So know the difference. Okay, that's really it. I wanted to give you guys some tips on, as you're building, these are more of the more basic things before you start to get into high power. Things you should be aware of can happen with the car. I will tell you that going high power first on those stock mounts, you're gonna tear something up. Even really aggressive driving, you're gonna have wear and tear on those stock parts. So even if you're not trying to go big turbo, just for standard performance, people that drive more aggressively, get mounts, period. So that's really it for today. Next video, we'll focus on the next topic, which I'm not going to tell you. You got to wait till next week, because I'm going to make you wait 7 days now, like I promised. So, again, appreciate the support. Love you guys. I hope this was helpful. I will have a link directly to all the parts that I use to limit torque steer. I don't have a limited slip differential, but that's certainly an idea. I don't think I need it because I'm not super high powered. But again, we're talking about the perfect MS3, so might be on the radar soon. So again, thanks so much. Make it a good one, and no matter what you've done in your past, your future is spotless.